What's going on, everybody? Adam here with the etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Dutton-Lainson Trailer Jack. So this one, it is going to be a weld-on jack. So if you're just building a trailer from the get-go, it does come with this inner tube. So we're just going to have to weld that to our trailer frame. And you do want to make sure that the wider side is going to go towards the trailer so we can get this thing on there. But you can also just be replacing the one that you have. So if you are doing that, just make sure that the outer diameter of the tube that's welded to your trailer is 2 inches. This is a top line jack. What that means is the lever is on the top. So a lot of you guys are wondering how big this lever is. So from the farthest most point to the very edge is about 7 inches. And it does have a molded little grip, so it's going to pivot around that little thing there, and you have a little slot for all your fingers. So it's a nice little grip, and it isn't that difficult to completely wind it. So sometimes you want a top wind, sometimes you don't. One instance where you would not want one is if we had something kind of mounted right here permanently, or if that's kind of what you usually use for some of your storage. So we don't have that clearance issue, so we went with the top wound. But if that is something for you, we have other ones that are going to be a side winder, which is going to be on the side. So all this depends on what your trailer has going on. Our larger outer tube is going to have a powder coated finish, and it does tend to get a little scratched. It's not that big of a deal, but it is a thick powder coat, so there's no rust started or anything like that. So it's going to resist against that rust and corrosion over time. And as we start going down, the inner tube is also going to be powder coated, and that even includes our foot plate. So a lot of times you don't really see that. It's usually zinc coated. So if you're going for that all black look, this is going to be a good one for you. So let's go over the foot plate dimensions. Overall length of 7 inches, and the width is about 4 inches. And I like how it's pretty thick steel. It's about a quarter inch thick steel. So it's gonna be extra strong, and it is bent on the sides. I like that just because when metal's bent, it's a little bit stronger. So even if we're on unlevel pavement or gravel or whatever you're putting it down on, it's not really going to tweak, which I kind of like that, especially since this is not gonna be a jack where we can replace the foot. So they gave it that added strength just because of that. But that being said, we aren't gonna be able to add on any type of wheel to this jack. In its most expanded form, from the foot plate to the center of this hole on our tube, it's going to be about 29.5 inches. And I'm not going to use that. I mean, look at this trailer. It's kind of crazy, but it's nice to have it, especially if you're overlanding kind of off grid. You never know what Mother Nature's going to give you when you find your spot that you want. So this is kind of nice to have, but this is a lot of lift. But let's go ahead and pump this guy down to see what it's going to be like in its fully retracted position. It's going to take a little bit of time to go all the way down, but it's not that difficult. It's just going to be a little time consuming to do this. All right, there we go. So now, from our plate to that same exact hole, it's going to be about 14.75 of an inch. And since that does take a little bit of time to completely crank it down, that's why we kind of like this jack on this setup, just because we have a couple inches to the ground. So we're really not going to have to crank on this thing that much, and it really does fit perfectly. So it does come with this little pin. So whenever we're ready to go, pull the pin out. We can rotate it around, and we can replace this pin. So this is what you'll do right before you head to the trip. But as you can see, placement is key. You want to get that sweet spot, and this is what a sweet spot looks like. So we have a little bit of wiggle room there. It's right up against that, and we have a little bit of wiggle room on the back up against our cargo carrier. So this one, the black powder coat, looks great with the trailer, but two, it fits perfect for our trailer. So definitely take some time and do some measurements to figure out where it's going to go. Measure twice, weld once. When comparing this to any of the other ones that we have in this little range, it just comes down to how much lift you really want. I have plenty of lift here, but one thing with this one that really sets it apart from all the others is it's all black and powder coated, which it looks really good with this trailer. I really like it. One thing to think about is the pin. So we actually did misplace this pin because it doesn't have anything really holding it on there. So that's a potential upgrade that you can get with another jack, but I don't really think that's enough for me to go with another one. I like the black powder coated finish enough to keep an extra eye on this pin. So I really can't really compare it to anything. I think it does a good job. All these jacks are kind of the same. It's just how much lift you want. But the look does kind of matter, and this one has the best look. So that'll do it for a look at the Dutton-Lainson Trailer Jack.